Good to see you're still among the living. It looks like we're not gonna find your brother here after all. There's no reason for us to stay any longer than necessary. Let's split up, look for any survivors, and get out of here.
Right.
One last thing. Here's a radio. Take it. That way we can keep in touch if anything happens.
By the way, notice how Leon gave Claire a block of tofu. Anyway, greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Resident Evil 2, where we continue the epic adventures of Claire in finding Chris. Well, she's not gonna find Chris here, so instead let's raid the STAR's office for its, bowgun, which it has for some reason. I'm guessing it probably belongs to Barry, since, well, he seems to be the weapons expert around here. Or at least according to his desk, and by the way, if you search Wesker's desk 50 times, you'll be in for a very pleasant surprise as you find Rebecca Chambers with a basketball outfit for some reason. Oh, seems we're receiving a fax. 90s? Seriously though, this is, I don't know man, it's nostalgic. But anyway, now that Chris isn't here, well, let's get out of the city. We simply have no other reason to go to Raccoon City, now that Chris is no longer here. The plot thickens.
Help me!
So, it seems there's a little kid running around the police station, without adult supervision, in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Truly responsible parenting is on display here in the Residential Evil the Second. But yeah, this will be pretty much our last sort of romp through the police station. Again, as I mentioned all the way back in part 1, and I believe also in the A scenario, in the B scenario you don't spend quite as long doing the same sort of stuff that you did in the A scenario. I mean, you do repeat a few things, as I will point out throughout the rest of this part, but yeah, for the most part, you'll be seeing a different side of things. Namely, in terms of the different characters that you meet, and also in terms of, well, some of the elements that you do. And again, I did bring up the zapping mechanic earlier on, and you would think that this will play a bigger part into this, but it doesn't. It's mainly a different scenario, so even if you did Claire A, Leon B, well, you'd be getting the same sort of general scenario with only a few details changed here and there. Again, as I said, I will point them out as we go on, but for the time being, it's generally the same sort of game, no matter who you play as. Well, in terms of scenarios, anyway, and this also goes similar for the remake as well. Something that they should have fixed, you know, given that they had, well, basically 20 years to work on it. I don't hear melting! Although, then again, I say melting, but, you know, it's getting to those summer months. We're finally out of winter, thank fucking goodness. And now we can celebrate Leon's initiation party! Yay, woo 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 woo. And here you will see the failing of the zapping mechanic as we come across a familiar friend, as we go into that office. Get out of our way. And you can also see the efficiency of the arrow gun. Quite useful. See, yeah, after apparently having taken off his head, yeah, Marvin Brenner is back. Well, he was back. Now we've taken care of him for good. But yeah, I think you can see where the zapping mechanic was failing there, because Marvin was destroyed, and now he's back for some reason, and if he was meant to be destroyed beforehand by Claire, then wouldn't that mean that Leon wouldn't have to face him at all? I don't really know what's to blame for this. Is it PS1 limitations? Although that shouldn't really be a thing, because this is spread out among 2 discs, so I don't know. A mechanic that wasn't entirely thought through, and well, something that the remake did admittedly fix in a few areas, because actually, did it? Because I seem to remember, like, I mean, after you encounter Marvin the first time in the remake, you end up going back around and you can kill him, but I think he's also already a zombie by that point when you go in there as either character again in the B scenario. I don't know, man, it's weird. I could replay the remake. It's been a little while since I've taken a look at it. It was rather fun, though. But, anyway, we'll be resolving a few plot points. We'll basically just be solving the same general riddles, or puzzles, whatever you poison. And by that I mainly mean in terms of, like, you know, the Devil May Cry looking stone CGI thing, you know, with the red rubies and everything. You know, that sort of familiar stuff, but I can assure you that the plot does differ quite significantly, as you will soon see. Or as you probably have already seen, in regards to the little kid that was nowhere to be found in Leon's scenario. Which is actually rather curious, actually. I mean, I would have thought that they would have done a little bit more to intersect the two plots, or maybe show how one character would have handled it from a different perspective. I don't know. Perhaps it probably would have been a little bit too intensive on the writing team, but, you know, I think it would have been interesting nonetheless to see how Leon would have handled the entire scenario with the little kid as opposed to Claire. I don't know. I guess maybe they didn't want to deviate too much from the main plot, but I don't know. I mean, for the sake of Resident Evil 2 remakes being a little bit more, you know, reimagining compared to the original remake, which was following the vision of the original Resident Evil 1 a little bit more closely than the 2019 Resident Evil 2 remake was. I know I sound like I'm going in circles with my choice of words here, but yeah, just comparing and contrasting the two versions is fascinating, because they improved it in some aspects, worsened it in others, and I wouldn't really even say worsened it, it's just kept the same, which it should technically be good, but I mean, from a quality standpoint, you would have thought they would have hashed some of these out. Then again, maybe that's just sort of the fan of me talking, so who knows really, I could be completely wrong about this. And now you will see the usefulness of the grenade launcher. Acid rounds completely take care of any lickers, or any sort of bioorganic enemies. Which I guess means that it makes it very... I forgot the quote. Fuck. The reference is over. I must now turn that grenade launcher against myself, because it's very useful at killing things. Damn it, what was that quote? It was a Barry Burton quote, but I can't quite remember it at this point. It's really powerful against living things, much like my degrading brain, which can rot any sort of matter around it. Oh god. Maybe I was truly property of the Armorcam Corporation. Where am I going with this? I have no idea. I'm just kind of filling for time, really, until we get to meet our next character. But who could it be? Well, he is someone that I will have a lot to talk about with, because I don't want to say that he changed significantly, but I mean, in terms of personality, yeah, he was, amped up quite a bit in the Resident Evil 2 remake. Who am I talking about? Well, you'll find out as we enter inside this lovely, furnished office, filled to the brim with animals that are now deceased and rotting, stuffed with, I don't know, taxidermy shit.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were another one of those zombies.
Are you Chief Irons?
Yes, that's me. And just who are you? No, don't bother telling me. It makes no difference. You'll end up just like all the others. That's the mayor's daughter. I was told to look after her, but I failed miserably. Just look at her. She was a true beauty. Her skin nothing short of perfection. But it will soon putrefy, and she will turn into a zombie within the hour, like all the others.
There must be some way to stop it.
In a manner of speaking, there is. Either by putting a bullet through her brain, or by decapitating her completely. And to think that taxidermy used to be my hobby. But no longer. Please, I'd really like to be alone now.
They changed Brian Irons up quite a lot in the Resident Evil 2 remake. I mean, as you can see there, he was generally very fucking creepy and poetic. In the remake, they made him like... I don't really know how to describe it. They made him like a little bit more, brutal, for the lack of a better phrase. One of the diary entries you can find, actually, in his office after, you encounter him for the first time, which is in a much different place in the remake than it is here. Like he has a diary entry that's like, oh, I killed a deer, I killed a baby deer, and I jizzed in my pants when I started stuffing it. You know, that sort of thing. And I don't really know if it was to make him, like, a little bit more scary to a Western audience, but, kind of prefer how he was handled in, like, the original, because he was much more poetic and fucking skin-crawling, man.
Wait.
Let me go!
Easy, easy there. I'm not a zombie. You're safe now. My name's Claire. What's yours?
Sherry.
Do you know where your parents are?
They both work at the Umbrella Chemical Plant, near the city limits.
The chemical plant? Then what are you doing here?
My mom called and told me to go to the police station because it was too dangerous to stay at home.
From the look of things, I'd say she was probably right. But it's dangerous here as well. You'd better come with me.
But there's something out there. I don't know what it is, but I saw it. Much larger than any of those zombies. And it's coming after me.
What was that?
That's what I was telling you about. It's here.
Sherry, wait!
Well, doesn't that sound familiar? Yes, Miss, Sherrison Birkin has quite a bit to do with the monster that we have seen on quite a number of occasions throughout the A scenario, so, yes, we're going to be dealing with the Birkin family. Da-da-da-dun. Yeah, we're going to be dealing with them a little bit more closely in this part, which is actually what does give Claire's scenario a little bit more, hot, so to speak. I think mainly in the sense that, you know, she's dealing a little bit more closely with the family members, so therefore she deals a little bit closer with the main plot at hand. And I think in turn it also gives it a little bit more of a human touch, even though I do have a couple of problems to underline here, and this goes for both the original and the remake, since it didn't really do that much to fix it. Again, it's mostly in terms of, like, character motivation, so it's like nothing technical plot related, or at least no more so than the average Resident Evil game. Which, I mean, I suppose by this point is really just Resident Evil 1, but I mean, in general, for, like, the classic games, tank control era, I'd say. But yes, now that we have the precinct key, we can now open up this bitch wide open and explore the police station fully, which we won't really be hanging around too much. In fact, I think I'd say by part 3, or 4 possibly, who knows. Yeah, we'll be out of the police station enough to explore new lands. And by new lands, I mean lands that you've seen before, because this was the PS1 days where you couldn't quite have as expansive open-world environments. Well, I mean, you could. I mean, Urban Chaos tried. I guess you could technically count Spyro the Dragon, maybe?
Whatever. I'm not here to argue with you about these video game polygon things.
But yes, it's basically just opening up the police station and finding more environments to search through, while hopefully avoiding Mr. X, who shouldn't be bothering us. And if he is, then God help us all. But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised to learn, actually, and something I forgot to mention last part was how Mr. X was very persistent in, like, both scenarios. Yeah, a little bit annoying, and it does kind of... Well, I mean, it was a surprise for, like, people who played the original, but it was, at the same time, also kind of not really a surprise, since you see him in both the A and B scenarios, because the thing with Mr. X in the context of this game is that when you encounter him on the B scenario, he's a new element, someone that you've never faced before, and something that you think, oh yeah, okay, I've ran around these hallways before, I can deal with this. And then he's a new element, which is like a nigh invincible killing machine, which I'm pretty sure was meant to be based on the Terminator, judging by a lot of the Western influences Resident Evil had, based on the Japanese team's love for movies. So, yeah, new element, and something to keep you on your toes. And the remake, it kind of loses that sting a little bit, in the sense that, well, I mean, you know who Mr. X is, and again, if you play the original, you know you can eventually defeat him by use of, you know, the rocket launcher and all that sort of stuff. And, I mean, even if you haven't, like, I mean, by context of, you know, what you've already played in the remake, you know, you can take him down, or at least stop him temporarily, so you know which points you can find him and which points you can stop him while you know, complete the main story. But yes, this area also reintroduces the Cerberus dogs. Or is it just zombie dogs? I can't remember. I think Cerberus dogs might be the term they used in the movies. I can't quite remember, but whatever the case is, dogs are ouchies, so make sure to time your bullet shots right. When they jump, shoot, and just wait for them to stand back upright and time your shots. Or you can just run away like a madman, because that works too. In the sense that, you know, you don't want to, or you can tank the hits, or you skillful enough to dodge them. A lot harder than it is using tank controls. Well, I mean, then again, the modern games also use a variant of the tank controls. The thing is, you just don't have a fixed camera angle. Really do wish more games did that, though apparently I did hear about another tank control style game called was it the Glass Staircase, or was it the Glass Ceiling? Yeah, one of the two, but yeah, it's a game that I really should be checking out. Because I am a fan of this classic style. Presumably without excessive item management. Well, with excessive item management, I mean, it is a core part of the survival mechanics, a lot more so than any other video game. It just isn't very interesting to commentate over because it's just item management. The game. Okay, now we gotta make sure we got a rocket launcher, which is actually a reward for beating the game, actually. It's, again, I think, like Resident Evil 1, it is part of the time. Like, if you beat the game within a specific amount of time, you do get the rocket launcher, so yeah, it does pay to play skillfully in this series.
Sherry, I've been looking everywhere for you. I was so worried. We've got to go now, honey, okay? If we stay here, that monster will find us. Let's go.
No, I won't.
What's the matter? Don't you trust me?
Ugh, not with that tone of voice, I don't.
It's not that, Claire. It's because of my daddy. He's over there. I heard him call my name. Daddy must have been attacked by the monsters. I have to help him.
Wait, Sherry, don't go alone! Sherry! Sherry!
So, now we're playing as a defenseless little kid. But yeah, differences with Sherry's control scheme is, well, not really too much different from any other character like Claire, Leon, Ada, or, you know, anybody else really. The only difference is that she can't use weapons, well, not that you really get any weapons to use, and zombies don't take a hold of her and take a bite out of her because, you know, that would kind of ruin the game's story. So instead they just throw up on her. It's not very nice. And she is also the she does also have the biggest health bar out of the characters, which is nice because you don't have to worry about you know, dying quickly. Or if you're a little bit clumsy, then, you know, you can afford to tank a couple of hits. Just don't get careless with it, because otherwise, well, then you will die. Now, there is a bit of a difference here between the remake and the original. As you can see here, we're doing a very similar segment to what Ada had to deal with, I believe. Actually, no, she did have to deal with this sort of thing, so it also doesn't make sense that Sherry is having to do all this again, unless, of course, Leon didn't get to this at this point, in which case it should have already been done. You see, this is why you gotta think out your zapping mechanics and time... It works under time travel logic, really. You gotta think this stuff through, and the game didn't. And the remake didn't either, which makes me very sad. So, yeah, like before, you're basically going to be jumping down these steps and moving the blocks in the right place, filling the place up with water, gathering your key items, bada bing, you do the thing. The remake actually improved by having something completely different here. Because at this point in the story, Sherry was kidnapped by Chief Irons, who basically took her away to this little orphanage, which was ostensibly a secret front where Umbrella was testing, I believe, the G-Virus, or possibly the T-Virus, I'm not entirely too sure. But anyway, they're experimenting on a lot of the local orphans, and in a very similar manner to the 4 Itchy Tasty scene from Resident Evil 1, yeah, you got to read a bunch of the diary entries, and yeah, some very dark stuff. In context with the remake's continuity, I guess, I don't know if they were building up to something, I guess, maybe that we'll see in a potential Resident Evil 3 remake. But, yeah, it was a nice bit of horror, and something that actually does have, like, a pseudo-stealth section for Sherry trying to evade Brian Irons. I don't know, man. It's pretty cool, but, yeah, I don't know. It could potentially be building up to something maybe not, I'm not too sure. Oh, and speaking of which, because I do know for a fact that this is eventually going to happen, when we do get the eventual Resident Evil 3 remake, can we have, like, an homage to, like, you know, the 3R moniker by having Resident Evil 3 remake be called Resident Evil Remake? Come on, you know you want to do it. It's in the tradition, like Drive 3R and for 3R. It's the only way to have a Maxi Extreme, dude, kind of title. But yeah, besides this will pretty much be the... I think this is either the last time or the second last time we play as Sherry. That might be one other section, but I'm not too sure. That might just be a cutscene, or I could be misremembering. But anyway, like before with Ada, we basically pass off our items to the main character, and then Sherry will run away again, because that's what Sherry does. So, on that note, I am Solidus-Skully, keep a new metal, and next time on the Resident Evil 2 commentary, more fun in the police station. Catch you later.
Claire! Are you there?
Sherry, are you okay? Did you find your dad?
Yes, I'm okay. But I couldn't find him. But I did find something else for you. Here. Here's another.
Thanks, sweetie. Now, why don't you come over here? I want you to stay with me.
Claire, I can't reach the ventilation hole anymore. But don't worry, I'll find another way. I can take care of myself.
Wait, Sherry, come back! Sherry! Sherry!
Do you read me, Claire? We now have access to the back of the parking lot.
Got it.
I'm getting out of here and heading to the sewer. Can you meet me there?
I'm on my way.